JDs and gentlemen, welcome back to another installment of the Pokemon Fire Red, Leaf Green Speedrun Letter Challenge. Today we're going to be seeing how quickly you can beat the game of Pokemon Fire Red with only letter H Pokemon. Let's start the video off right with picking our name and naming convention. As you can see, I chose Honda. What a great, reliable vehicle. I think that's a pretty clear inclination that we're going to go with H-related car brands.
Get in, loser. We're going shopping.
Now, they're not going to necessarily, match up to the type of Pokemon they are. But I will say there's quite a few of them, especially not from the country of the United States of America, that I'm learning about on this way. Our starter in this case is going to be Horsey named Hyundai. Hyundai, I know a few things about. Hyundais and Kias, same owner. Interesting, didn't know that until I think last year when they were all getting stolen. No, not last year. A few years ago when they were all getting stolen. Had my car almost stolen, so that's pretty sick. But we bounced back. Anyway, why did we choose Horsey? Is going to be probably a pretty good question. Horsey, water type, just like Squirtle, and he has pretty bad stats, just like Squirtle, whereas everybody else in the category, aka naming starts with letter H, has nothing really to do with any of the starter types, as well as their middle evolutions or solo evolutions that have really good stats for the beginning of the game. And now, I don't know if this is a spoiler alert, but I'm going to say it, spoiler alert. Horsey's so bad, it could suck the fart out your ass. Turn it into liquid ass and spit it out. Now, liquid ass, that's a horrible smell. I will say maybe top 3 horrible smells, goated horrible smell. So unless you're kind of a masochist in that sense, don't ever buy it. But if you do want to prank your friends, absolutely buy that shit. 100%. You'll get them. You'll get them, and they'll have to potentially throw some shit out. Whatever gets hit with it. What a time to be alive. Alright. So now that we're done talking about our liquid ass, let's break down some of the rules for the challenge. Rule number 1 is going to be you can only use Pokemon with names starting with the challenge letter. Makes perfect sense. It's the speedrun letter challenge. So in this case, it's going to be letter H, and all Pokemon that start with the letter H. Rule number 2 is that you can use rare candies to level up Pokemon up to the current gym's ace, or until they meet the naming criteria. This is kind of a special rule, and it will take effect in our game today. This being for the Hypno line. You get Drowsy right before you enter Surge. So, what I wanted to do was get a Hypno, but the Hypno Evo level is 26. Lieutenant Surge's Ace is only level 24. So we can rare candy to 24. And in this situation, I would have to switch train to get to 26 if I wanted to do that. Otherwise, I could use Horsey to go all the way through Surge and then wait till Erica's gym, and then I could level him up through rare candies to get to a Hypno. But that's not what we did here. Moving on to number 3, I'm not allowed to sell any items other than gold-only items, aka Nuggets, Stardust, so on and so forth. Rule number 4 is that I need to catch a Pokemon from each evolution line. Now, why evolution line? Why not have every single Pokemon? That's because you get encounters such as Diglett to Dugtrio. I always use this as an example. Diglett is going to be a nice easy catch in Diglett Cave, and Dugtrio is the evolution version of that. The issue is Dugtrio is not viable in Elite Four. We're not going to be using him at any point in the run, really, because we have other things like Dragonite. Dragonite's just better than Dugtrio. This means what? Do I waste my time grinding and leveling up to get to the Dugtrio, or do I just say, if I catch one of the evolution line, then that's acceptable? So that's what I'm going to be doing, because I think it keeps the spirit of the run while also keeping some of the speed. Rule number 5 is that we're going to play on set mode, and we can't use any items in battle. This is more of a hardcore Nuzlocke rule, but I think it's applicable, and I like that, so I'm going to be doing it. Rule number 6 is actually that we're just not going to be able to save in between Elite Four members. if we save in between Elite Four members, it could be a situation where I save the game before a fight and just hope for a better crit or a better roll. And that doesn't feel right for the speed run. It just feels like it got to be more pure going through it. So I just want to do it all, no saving in between. I mean, unless absolutely necessary, like you get to level 100 and you can't really do it otherwise, then we might make an exception later down the line. But for now, that's what we're going to keep it at. No saving. Advancing to finally some gameplay we can talk about here. So if you're looking at the screen right now, we have our level 9 Horsey fighting level 7 Metapods, level 6, 7.
Sequence de victoire. Yes, that's 6-7. 6-7.
Caterpie Weedles. And we're actually about to fight the hardest fight in the Viridian Forest, which is going to be this level 9 Weedle right before we make it to Pewter City. And we get to fight Brock. The advantage of having a Horsey and or just a water type at this point in the game is that it's not resisted by any of the bug types in the Viridian Forest. Whereas something like a grass type in Bulbasaur and his Vine Whip would be resisted. So that's why we kind of like the water type for this, and it's also why we're going to essentially beat Brock in a near record time. But Brock has Geodude and Onix, which are rock and ground type, which are 4x effective. I would be shocked if they're not both one-shots, but let's check it out here. We are now level 12 going into the Brock fight, and yes, indeed, we do one-shot Brock's level 12 Geodude, and we two-shot Onix, but it's really, it never stood a chance because we're water type. We're going to skip ahead to Misty because Mount Moon really didn't hold anything for us, and I think the first Misty fight is going to be more important than everything that went on in Mount Moon. We're just gaining levels in Mount Moon, no encounters. So as we fight Misty for the first time, we got Water Gun, but the issue here is it doesn't even do half to Staryu. It's like a 3-shot, 4-shot maybe, and that gives Staryu enough time to recover constantly. When in doubt, just recover, and that lets Misty Staryu pump water pulses right into our snout, and it just demolishes us. So we have no shot. Despite not being really bad into this comp, we have no other type of move. So instead of going the Misty route, we end up trying to go fight our rival. And we kill the Pidgeotto, but Bulbasaur obviously is now this huge wall for us. And what are we going to do? So we're stuck between a rock and a hard place essentially at this point. The only thing that I found to do was to A, level up against some of the random wild Pokemon in the single patch of grass that you can access, and B, kind of just bang your head against the wall fighting either Misty or the rival. In this case, it was mostly the rival because we can at least consistently kill the Pidgeotto, and that's one evolved Pokemon's amount of XP, as opposed to Staryu, who wouldn't give as much. Going back and trying again to level 29 for Horsey was still unsuccessful. Our stats are not high enough, and Twister is not getting us lucky enough to flinch consistently on both Staryu and Starmie. Starmie is just so strong, and special attack stat is so high. So instead, at level 30, we go back to the rival. This time, thankfully, at level 30, we're able to beat the rival. That opens up the top side of Cerulean, and we come back to Misty at level 33. Level 33, we can almost one-shot Staryu with Twister, which is fantastic. And in this case, against the Starmie, I use a smoke screen to hopefully lower some of the accuracy. Maybe he can miss, as well as just consistently using Twister and hoping for some flinch luck, hoping to not use for covers, and it ends up working. I get a crit at about half health left on the Starmie, and bless up that we finally beat that. Wow. Advancing from that, we go catch our Drowsy to the right of Lieutenant Surge's gym, and we name Drowsy, which is going to be eventually our Hypno, Hummer. Hummer is that thick, tanky vehicle who's going to carry us the whole way. They were discontinued. They came back. Love to see it. That's what we're here for. But in the meantime, we have to switch train, and this is an example of that. We just keep tossing them in on the different trainers that are out there, and then we switch them out and put our Horsey in so we can continue to split the XP 2 ways so that he can, at one point, evolve. And here we are, finally getting our Hypno. Going to Lieutenant Surge's gym, that was the quickest electric lock puzzle I've ever done in my entire life. This run was destined. This has to be something so sweet. If this is an indicator, this run has to have the best time. Alright, as far as the Lieutenant Surge fight, we one-shot the first two, the Voltorb and the Pikachu. As far as the Raichu, we confusion one time, and we do about a third, and then we end up headbutting, and it just knocks Raichu out. Really not an issue. So then we just move on to Erica, because again, that in-between was nothing. Erica has nothing for us. It's every Pokemon she has is a poison type, and we're psychic, so confusion just all over all of them. Once we're done with Erica, we can actually go back to Pokemon Tower. Pokemon Tower is where we're going to get our Ghastly to eventually evolve into Haunter. We name him Holden, as I've never heard of Holden before in automotive, but hey, I'll take it. I looked it up. They make cars, so hey, it's all good. Here's the stipulation for the letter H, though. After we're done at Pokemon Tower, I end up just skipping to the next part in Saffron City, which is Silphco. And this is important because astute observers of the letter H would know that Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee are not both able to be achieved or had in the same game. That's because once you take one from the dojo, the other one becomes locked because you don't want to be too greedy, but I do want to be too greedy. So, to circumvent this, you pick up the Pokemon from the Pokeball in the dojo, whichever one you choose, at level 25. The other place you get a Pokemon that is level 25 as a gift is right after you beat level 5, in which case you get a Lapras. So instead of getting a Lapras, I just switched that with one of the Hitmons, so that we can achieve both at the same time. And while I was explaining that, you'll see the end of us absolutely fucking melting Koga, because Psychic is super effective against Poison. And especially that we're a higher level, they have no fucking chance. After Koga, we move on to Sabrina. And Sabrina, again, stood absolutely no chance. Psychic on Psychic, whereas I have a headbutt move, means that she is absolutely cooked in every sense of the word. So after Sabrina, didn't even take any time there, moving to Blaine. Blaine is just going to get Psychic down every single time. Fire is special, and the only one that I really could even potentially see a problem with is Arcanine, and it was really easy. Jumping to Giovanni. Obviously, Giovanni is never a problem under any circumstances. I legitimately went in with half health and poisoned just to see if I could do it, and I absolutely could, and I made it back out with enough life to spare to make it to the Pokemon Center and heal up and advance in the game. The thought process before we make it to the Elite Four, I was to go get a bunch of coins and Hypno learn Shadow Ball. My genius knows no bounds, so I would have a physical attacking move that has some type variability so we can get the advantage over some people, as well as continue to have a high amount of PP points to continue fighting later in the game without using an elixir or an ether to supplement that. The other thing that stood out to me was Calm Mind. Hypno's able to learn Calm Mind, so there's a potential to do something like a Hypnosis, Calm Mind, Psychic, Shadow Ball. Now, before I teach Shadow Ball and end up saving the game and not being able to get it back, what I ended up doing was going in without Shadow Ball and just seeing how the Calm Mind setup strat tactic worked with Hypnosis. And so far on Lorelai's first Dugong we have here, it's working pretty well. I mean, we're down to about half, but both water and ice are special moves, so our special defense is now extremely high. The only person that I really would be terrified of would be Lapras, who we took care of with 2 confusions, thankfully, and Slowbro because he has Yawn. But even then, I'm not really switching out at this point, and I do land Hypnosis on Slowbro. So we're kind of just going to win against Lorelai, which I was really not expecting. Even with the setup, I mean, I didn't think I was going to be blocking that much, and I honestly thought that Lorelei was going to kind of wipe the floor with me. She does it every single time. So this setup strat is looking very promising right now. Going into Bruno, we have to sleep the Onyx to get a few Calm Minds off, but in reality, the fighting types are going to fold anyway because, I mean, Psychic is super effective against fighting, and Onyx doesn't have any special defense. So we end up being able to pop 3 Calm Minds and then just Confusion the rest down, which is crazy because Confusion is not really that good of a move. It's not that strong. Look, we'll take what we can get, though, before we start pumping out the Psychics so we don't have to, again, start using these Elixirs and Ethers. We have the same exact strat going into Agatha. The only difference here is we get Toxic, which means essentially you can't set up at all unless I put a Berry on or somebody had Refresh maybe, but that's just not going to happen. It's just not an ability that Hypno has, and I did not have a Pecha Berry. So there was 0% chance that was going to happen. Ultimately, I'm going to try and win here, but thinking about my team right now, I have both Hitmons. I have that Doduo, the lone Doduo for Fly, who did nothing. But yeah, both Hitmons cannot hit him for anything because they're all fighting moves, essentially. I have Horsey, who is level 37 and trash. And then I have Hypno, who gets absolutely obliterated at the end of the day. So despite having a seemingly advantageous matchup because we're super effective into Agatha's poison types, there is a chink in the armor. There is something that we can actually lose to despite these setup strats. I think we're going to have the same strat going into it, and we just kind of hope that we hit Hypnosis or get a Toxic Miss next time, because right now this is kind of our only strat. We made it really far in the first shot, so let's not change anything quite yet. Going back into Lorelei, we don't have any problems. We just do the same exact thing. We actually perform a little bit better. The only thing, again, Lapras gets taken down in 2 shots, but Slowbro actually knows Amnesia, which he didn't use the first time, did use this time, ended up not mattering because I used enough Calm Minds, and we send Lorelei back to the Stone Age. Again, 2 times in a row. Great record right now. I'm sitting pretty at a good 4-1 against the Elite Four, although I've only made it to the 3rd member. I have a winning record right now, which is pretty nice. Although generally you go in and you win. Maybe not in these challenges. Sometimes you don't. Nonetheless, we go to Bruno, and I mean, we could just really breeze through Bruno. It's not even a talking point right now. Again, Psychic is super effective to his fighting types, and Onyx no special defense stat whatsoever. So it's just a absolute cakewalk. Here's where the money is. We lost to Agatha last time. This time we just go straight Psychic on the first Gengar, so we can't even get Toxic in this case. Then, once she sends out the Golbat, our sleep strats into the setup strats. Man, that was an S-in mouthful. And it seems to be working. Now that we have our Calm Mind setups, we can start pumping out the Confusions instead of the Psychics, carrying us through the rest of the Agatha fight. Going on to Lance, I'm thinking about it. I don't see any scenario where we would do anything different. I think Gyarados to set up on would probably be fine. Kind of worried about the Hyper Beam. That's probably the one thing I would be worried about. But the only way to really find out is to fuck around. So let's get in there and fuck around with Lance a little bit. So again, first things first, we want to set up with Hypnosis and put him to sleep. We're going to Calm Mind once, Calm Mind twice, Calm Mind 3 times, Calm Mind 4 times, and then he wakes up from Bite. Bite, totally forgot that he had, to be entirely honest, but we go 5 Calm Minds, then we switch to Psychic. Psychic takes him out instantly, and we keep with our Psychic for both Aerodactyl and Dragonite, and we get the one-shots on both of them. Then, once the Dragonairs come out, we just run Confusions, and it is game, set, match, baby. That was huge. I know, like, the Dragon type couldn't hit us really because our special defense was so high, so we didn't really have a problem with, like, Outrage or anything. But that Aerodactyl I was really worried about. The Hyper Beams I was really worried about. Dragonite Wing Attack I was really worried about. But we killed him and we get to advance. So first things first, Pidgeot sand attacks us, and we Hypnosis back. We actually do hit, so I'm kind of just running with the Calm Minds at this point. 2 sand attacks, and then a Whirlwind?
Today isn't the day! Not today!
You're Pidgeot knows Whirlwind? Oh, man. Okay, this puts a new spin on things. Because that resets all of our stat changes that we just had, which is a horrible thing to see. So we actually try it again, send Hypno back out, Hypnosis the Pidgeot, pump our last 2 Calm Minds, and then just to get rid of Pidgeot, Psychic Pidgeot, double Confusion the Gyarados, goes over 50, so we kill him. One-shot Psychic the Arcanine, one-shot Psychic the Venusaur. Now we're left with Alakazam. So we go 1 Confusion, looks like it's going to be a 3-shot. It is going to be a 3-shot. Bingo bongo, we're left with 59 health going into Rhydon. Oh, we're leaving Rhydon with 1 health. What do we do? Okay, he's going to full restore, so we throw in Horsey. Horsey's got Surf and kind of our highest level, which kind of sucks, but we're going to play this game, full restore and Surf down, and hope at the end that we're faster, and we are, baby! Let's go! Horsey just got goated right there on the spot. Y'all saw it. That's crazy. But wow, what an insane run. We had a little Dodo on the back peeking his head in, but that's just a Flymon. We didn't even need him. He didn't do anything. Hypno, huge carry. Who would have thought? Not me. And Horsey at the end of the day, showing up in the 11th hour. Oh my, the 13th hour, whatever the thing is. I don't know what that reference is. God, wow, that was electric. Now we can look at this graph, and we can put it on the tier list. Where do we start? Alright, so H is that lime green, maybe like an hourglass looking John in there, I don't really know, but looks like from badge 1 to 2, badge 1 near the lowest, and then badge 2 jumps up way above everybody else who had those typically good times. That B, that C, that F. Well, F at the end didn't really have the best time, but I think we all get where I'm going at. For the first 8 badges, it didn't follow the same trend. It followed more of like a D-ish trend. But that plateau between badges 5 and 8, nearly flat, like it took no time at all. And then just a small jump between badge 8 and final, that's why it got 14-17. Now, was I expecting this? No. But this is kind of why I'm doing it, because I was not expecting Hypno, despite being Psychic, despite having setup, to be anywhere near as good as a carry as he was. And for that, this has got to go in S tier. Beat B, C, and G in time, and it was unexpected, and it felt great to play. Horsey was kind of ass at the beginning, but I can overlook that for how good the back end felt. Alright guys, looks like it's going to be a shorter video than normal, because it took the least amount of time, and it was pretty straightforward at most of the steps. So if you liked it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and this will be Zeej signing off. Peace.